Richer countries will rely on skilled workers from abroad, as long as they are needed at all, leading to increased labor migration. This will have a negative impact on the countries of origin of these migrants, as their countries will be weakened by the lack of skilled workers and left to fend for themselves. After much of the so-called skilled labor has migrated, threatening to disintegrate the migrants' countries of origin, the global elite will begin to loot and sell off the weakened countries. Labor migration can also be used as an excuse to destroy the economy of the destination country. All that is needed is to import enough unskilled workers to cause as much damage as possible through lack of expertise, because the appropriate quality standards or procedures are not mastered. If unrest is to be provoked, it is enough to flood a country with migrant workers. This will lead to conflicts between the natives and the migrants, resulting in civil wars and destabilizing the country. The artificially created labor surplus will be exploited by large corporations to dictate working conditions. In this way, people can be exploited even more efficiently with the approval of governments. Values of freedom and human dignity will be a thing of the past. Nations are to be made equal. This will result in a lowering of the level of the more developed nations, so that all nations will be driven into unprecedented poverty. The wealth of the working population will be destroyed by creeping expropriation.
The aim is to destroy all economic and financial independence by destroying carbon-intensive sectors of the economy, which do not correspond to the agenda of the World Economic Forum and the UN.
Ethnic groups will be mixed to eliminate any cultural and religious individuality. Multicultural partnerships will be encouraged. Enforcing cultural and religious conflicts leads to extreme situations that create the basis for further governmental restrictions on freedoms. The educational, financial, and health systems will be centralized and standardized, under the guise of peace and international understanding. A world religion and world culture are being introduced. To level the playing field, economic competition will be criminalized and private property will be nationalized. The conflicts deliberately created and provoked by mass and labor migration will not only fuel unemployment and the competition it creates, but also increase crime to unprecedented levels. Civil protests and civil war-like conditions will serve as the basis for further depriving people of their basic rights and freedom of movement at the local level, imprisoning them in their 15-minute cities as if they were in a prison camp. There will be no freedom of movement. It will depend on the carbon dioxide budget and only allow you to stay in certain parts of the city or town to protect the climate and ensure the security of a 15-minute zone. Cities and settlements will be transformed into 15-minute gigacities with complete radical digitization and surveillance. Residents will be monitored in real time and punished for violations with fines, carbon dioxide budget restrictions, or imprisonment. The monopolies of violence will be radically expanded and endowed with special rights to intervene in every sphere of life in case of violations of the agenda. Any citizen critical of the government can then be detained indefinitely or even killed without trial or charge. Brutal terrorist attacks and police raids are staged for public consumption to intimidate, silence, and incapacitate critics. Before the situation escalates completely, people will be disarmed and gun laws will be adjusted so that victims will have no chance to fight back against the totalitarian agenda. Millions of people will lose their homes and property, become dependent on the state, and have no alternatives to the 15-minute cities. While ordinary citizens will be dispossessed and deprived of all their freedoms, the elite will continue to rule without restriction and enjoy all the comforts. The monopolies of violence will be expanded in order to impose destructive and artificial concepts of society on the peoples of this earth by force and blackmail. This will lead to flight and civil wars. Traditions and any individuality of peoples will be suppressed in order to create a uniform world society. Historical monuments and works of art will disappear from public view. A world religion will also be enforced, forcing people to submit to satanic practices. The forced intermingling of races will be enforced in order to read away any individuality from ethnic groups in the long run. Mixed marriages will be rewarded with points and higher social status. Individuals will no longer be able to fall back on their cultural foundation. The structure behind the United Nations is the leading authority and holds all decision-making and executive powers. The nation-states will disappear after the infiltrated governments have acted as lightning rods for the people. All national laws and jurisdictions will become obsolete, as they will only exist from the one central structure in the form of artificial intelligence. The plan of the elites is very clear. They want to lead us into a dystopian future in which we will be deprived of all freedom. The national structures that are supposed to protect us are not standing up against this agenda, but against the people. This is no wonder, since every government today is already infiltrated and in maximum dependence on the globalist structures, which also control the monetary system. They want the people to completely surrender their own freedoms and surrender their own future to destruction by accepting the New World Order. It is up to us as the whole of humanity to do something about this agenda, and we must do so before it is too late.